Hello and welcome to the latest Capital and Kayfabe. I am your co-host, JP John Paz from the Two-Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me is political pundit, author. He is a journalist as well, former campaign manager, Mr. Jack Hunter. Jack, welcome in. How you doing?
Good to be with you today, John. Kind of a crazy week, but we're going to get it done. Have a good
Man,
discussion.
whew, what an insane week. And right off the top, we got to talk about maybe the craziest thing. Charlie Kirk basically, is assassinated. He's murdered, he's shot at one of his rallies at a Utah campus. What in the world is going on over there? And how did this all take place and why? I mean, just seems insane.
Yeah, and in full transparency, we're talking about this less than 24 hours after the murder happened. I've got many thoughts on this. My first thought is not to contribute to the chaos that surrounds this, that led up to this, and now surrounds this travesty. I'd interacted with Charlie a number of times, especially before he got famous and was a big deal and was just like a Turning Point USA fundraiser kind of guy.
Right.
We weren't friends, and I don't say that I liked him, but like we just didn't have that kind of relationship. But we knew who each other were. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a genuine guy. Where are we in our society? Like we don't have a suspect in custody yet, so we don't know what the incentives were for somebody to do something like this. But like, why Charlie Kirk? Because he says things you don't like, so you're going to shoot him. And here's a guy who, on purpose, went into campuses and places that weren't like pure red areas, blue areas, and talked to people who did not agree with him. Which is good. That's democratic. That's liberal, say, in the broadest sense, classically so.
Yep.
And was murdered for it ultimately. But once again, we don't know the incentive of the killer or what they did or what they were motivated by or how crazy they were. I tend to think that anybody that would do this is mentally ill or being paid a gazillion dollars. It's one or the other. But yeah, 31 years old, leaves behind a wife and young children, 3-year-old kid and another child. Like, dude, that's just awful. I don't care if he was a left winger or right winger, just that's not good. But I am glad to see so many prominent left-wing voices, and I've been sharing all of it, saying this is a tragedy and awful, and we should all mourn his loss. Bernie Sanders had a great message. Barack Obama had a great message. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had a great message. Thank you, Democratic leaders, for doing that. That's what the people who like you need to see, because I see random people on the left celebrating this or saying it was okay, or because he didn't share the same Second Amendment views that they had, that he, did this to himself. Those people are scum. Just the lack of humanity. The lack of humanity.
They're kind of like demonic, I guess you would say, would be a good word, or sick,
yeah.
or it's pure evil. And even some people, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this because I didn't know this about them. People I've interviewed, people I've had on my show, like different, like, and I'm seeing like well, no, it can't be this person writing this. Like they were happy, they were cheering, they were praying for it. I was like, oh my god, like legit, almost like Satan has like taken over their bodies.
Yes, I see it that way too. And as a Christian, I would look at it that way. And the only way I can explain, I've said this on the show before, the way I explain somebody would be that evil or say something that messed up. If somebody challenged me on who Jesus Christ was and said it wasn't, I would take offense at that, argue about it, right? That's my religion. That's my faith. If your religion is, I hate Donald Trump and I'm on the left, and that's your baseline, and Charlie Kirk, in your mind, is working for the devil because he's on the Trump side, you're going to say bad stuff like that. That's your faith. In my mind, that's the only thing that could get somebody to that kind of awful level to say things like that. And they don't see it that way because they're probably, atheists. I don't believe in anything. This is my politics. Well, now you believe in something. G.K. Chesterton, the great Catholic apologist, said when man doesn't believe in God anymore, he doesn't believe in nothing, anything. That's what that is. You've replaced your faith with your politics. It could be your favorite football team. It could be your wrestling for us, maybe on the show. I don't know, but it's something. And for a lot of hard left partisans, it's that, even if they can't see it, which leads them to celebrate the death of another human being that they just merely disagree with politically. I think it's demonic too.
Literally sick in the head, not only the
Yeah.
person that does it and the people that do, but the people are responding and happy about it, dancing videos and all that stuff. I mean, legitimately, if you're that person's employer, like, look at this person like with a second eye and really examine it, because the person might not be all there. Like, it is evil, it is twisted, it is just insane. Like, to see that and to see the video, which is horrific and gruesome, and then be happy about it, and apparently his wife and kids were there. It's like just absolutely insane, these people.
Yeah. And you think about, like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, that's where you are in your life, that you're happy that a human being's dead because you disagree with them politically and you're going to celebrate it. Like, do you love your mother? Do you like children? Like, what are we talking about? Like, what kind of people are these? Yeah, if I was an employer, I'd be like, I want this person nowhere around where I work. You're fired. And not because they disagree with me. They're just, that's a bad attribute. Those are low morals, if they're morals at all. It's just bad.
You don't want that kind of guy on your team.
No, right. No. I mean, take the most left wing. Jacobin is a hard left socialist magazine that's been around for forever, since the 60s or 70s. They put out a wonderful statement saying this should not be tolerated. Political discourse, free debate is what we have in America and value and cherish. And you don't want MAGA supporters with rifles coming after socialists speaking in public, is basically what they're saying. And they're right. I don't want that. I don't want anybody to be hurt. Go out there and socialize it up all you want. Say whatever you want. Go do it, Bernie Sanders, AOC. God bless you. First Amendment, and no harm should come to you. But this magazine, this legendary socialist magazine, just came out with this statement in the midst of so many people who probably read that magazine celebrating something like this. So kudos to Jacobin magazine. I don't think any of them might be watching this, but yeah. So
right. It, to me though, it's just like, how could you have that type of reaction? It's just absolutely kind of insane. It just, it's a person here. You're not playing a video game or something. You know what I mean? This is real life. This has happened to a person, and just because you don't agree with their ideology, you're like that. And then the excuse is, oh, he was a Nazi, he's a fascist. I don't think you really understand like what's going on. Like, it's just a strange reaction. Odd.
Okay, let's start. If he was a Nazi or fascist, what was Hitler? Because I think Charlie Kirk and Adolf Hitler were probably far apart in their thoughts, indeed. So that's stupid. Let's knock that out of the park. When Osama bin Laden was taken out, I wasn't sad. I mean, that's Nazi territory, right? What you perpetrated 9/11. I also didn't relish in it. I didn't relish in a death. It was Osama bin Laden. So why in the F would you relish in Charlie Kirk, a conservative pundit's death? Something's wrong with you if you're doing that. Not him. You. Not you. People who would do that.
Yeah. But like because you don't agree with him, I mean, it's just like the level of thinking and like the hypocrisy, but just the level of like your thought process, you got to be examined. Like, geez, I mean, oh, I'm so happy that this happened because he thinks differently about guns, or he thinks differently about this, or he thinks differently about that. It's like, man, that's just insane.
It's terrible. Let's say, put this in a positive frame. I'm seeing far more people on the left being human about this than what we're talking about, but there's enough of them to worry about it. Enough of them deplorable, weird term to use in 2025, but I'm seeing far more people not be that way than be that way, but it's enough to make you scratch your head.
It didn't seem like Congress was handling it very well. They want to do a moment of silence, and somebody's yelling out no, and
that goes back to it's their religion. Democrats in Congress heard the name Charlie Kirk and was like, oh, we can't have a moment of silence for this. I'm like, what the fuck? Sorry, I'm not going to cuss on here. But like, right. What is wrong with you? And that's why I'm so grateful that Bernie Sanders and AOC and Barack Obama put out these positive messages recognizing this tragic thing that happened and the human victim. But that happened in Congress, U.S. Congress. Like, they didn't want to have a moment of silence. The Democrats didn't. Good God.
Kind of scary. It's just like, man, like some of these people on the left are celebrating they're crazy, and then Congress is kind of hammering the story home that these guys, maybe it's not the way to go is to be so negative and evil like that.
Right. I like to listen with my girlfriend to Busted Open After Dark, after Dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
Happened last night. And Bully, I mean, those shows are not political. They're not trying to be political, and God bless them for it. I don't want that. But Bully Ray, did the After Dark show after Dynamite, and he just kind of said before he played Kiss and talked about wrestling or whatever, it's been a weird week. It's been a sad week. It's been a tragic week. Love each other out there, kind of thing. That's the attitude that needs to prevail. And thank you, Bully, for doing that.
Man, and it's like one crazy thing after another. You have Irina, the Ukrainian that got murdered on the subway, and like that was crazy because I noticed too the mainstream media didn't even cover it. So like such a weird, like what the hell's going on out there? Like pretty sick.
It's a white woman. It's a black perpetrator. So that's no go for the mainstream media. The independent media was all over it all weekend. Mm-hmm. That was a crime that happened a couple of weeks ago. That the video surfaced on Friday.
Yes.
And it went viral over the weekend. And the mainstream media, we're talking on a Thursday, didn't get to it until yesterday. Because it's a Ukrainian refugee who just got here, who escaped that horrible situation, who got stabbed by randomly getting on a metro by a person who was mentally unstable, who should have been institutionalized or in jail. Person been arrested 14 times, so 5 years in prison for armed robbery. He should have been in a straitjacket somewhere, not on a metro where he could stab this woman with his pocket knife. So
it's crazy that there was no coverage of anything of this sort from the mainstream media. Just nuts. And the people on the subway there, can they get in trouble in anything? I mean, they didn't even attempt to do anything. They just sat there.
It's mass psychology. I mean, you go back to that story from the 80s where the woman was she raped and murdered in Central Park, and there were bystanders and nobody did anything. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
That's used in psychology classes and whatnot. Like, what is this? I don't have an answer for it. Daniel Penny, if you remember his story months ago or a couple years ago, he was a former Marine who a guy was harassing people on the metro wherever they were at, and he took care of business, and he was called a racist for doing it. Everybody on the metro was like, this guy's a hero, especially like women and children were like,
yes,
we can't deal with this guy harassing us, but this other man took care of the situation, and God bless him, and thankfully.
Yep.
But they portrayed him a racist because he was a white dude, and the person he was putting down or submitting was not. So the reason you didn't hear about the woman on the train was she was a white lady attacked by a black guy. Same if there's a shooter that happens to be transgender, you're going to hear a hell of a lot less about it because of that. And I say that as somebody who has trans friends, and I'm not that guy. But that's the reality of the mainstream media. They're on team left, and they cover the news according to whatever narratives that fits, not what's true necessarily or the pursuit of truth. It's their politics.
It kind of just goes hand in hand with like the craziness going on and just what they cover and what they don't. RFK Jr. is unhealthy, blah, 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 blah. And then Chris Christie, they're like Chris Christie. I've known Chris Christie for forever, not personally. I mean, because I'm from Jersey, the guy's the most unhealthy, I can't even say whatever. Just say, I'll just keep it an unhealthy guy I've ever seen in my life. Like, what is going on? Like, the hell? Crazy.
Yeah, I want to hear a health lecture by Haystack Calhoun.
Yeah.
King Kong Bundy, explain to me my new diet, what I need to do. Yeah, they hate Robert Kennedy Jr. because, again, the officialdom. We're the health establishment. Here's this FDA food chart that's completely bunked. Most people know at this point, but this is what we've decided is healthy, and you it, and if you challenge it, and I got my COVID, I got vaccinated, I got COVID 3 times after that. I'm done with that. But they told me it would definitely work. And had to wear masks and social distancing. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is like, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Quit lying to us. Stop. And a lot of Americans agree. And he's got the data to back it up. He's not talking out of his butt. That's what they hate. They're like, we're in charge of this. We're in charge of telling you what's healthy and what's right. So Chris Christie is a defender of that, gets his big butt up there and is like, hey, I know about health. Let me go eat 3 more quarter pounders and I'll tell you about it, or whatever he's doing. And it is comical. And yeah, I'm not ashamed to make fat jokes. Who cares? But that's what's going on. It's stupid. And I think RFK Jr. being where he's at, and he's not always going to be right, but they sure as hell haven't always been right. But challenging that's one of the reasons I voted for Trump for the first time in 2024 was his presence within that. Him, Tulsi, a couple of other people, but yeah.
And I saw a certain podcaster went out there, it's big liberal. He was going, wrestling podcaster. RFK's, he's steroids, fake tan, blah, blah. I'm like, he's still healthier than the person that was in the position beforehand. Let's not even pretend that he wasn't. Jesus Christmas. Mentally and physically. And he's a lot damn healthier than Chris Christie, who you're kind of basically saying is in the right. It's like, my God, like, get a clue, man. Like, geez Louise, way off topic, way off base.
You probably noticed, and I'm not going to name names. I watched the big popular wrestling podcast, the YouTube videos, all that kind of stuff. But you can tell they're not trying to really shit because it's bad for business because you alienate half the audience. This is a different show we do here. But those people, whether on the West Coast, wherever else they're living or whatever, you can tell what their political inclinations are, including what you just mentioned, John, about people, whoever was bitching about Chris Christie.
It's like so crazy, just like, okay, we hate this guy, but let's bring up this or that and pretend that he's not right because we don't like this about him, we don't like that about him. Like, come on.
Yeah, and there was an example in recent months within the last year. Was it R-Truth that made some sort of questionable Asian joke on Raw or something, and then like the white wrestling podcaster I'm thinking of like lectured him, and anybody that thought that funny, like, this is terrible.
Come on, yeah.
And then like Io Sky and Asuka, who were the targets of the skit, were like, we're not offended at all. He's supposed to be an idiot. Like, that's kind of the point. Like, the minorities involved were not offended at all, thought it was kind of funny. But the white guy on the rest of the population, let me tell you something, you can't do this. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, shut up, dude. Like, come on. I'm not going to say it is. I really like his work. But yeah, that's what it was. I love his work, but like, you could see that. That's like, only this goofy white liberal is going to say this. The people actually involved who might have offense thought it was fine. Yeah, the black dude and the two Asian chicks were okay with it, but it's the white set, and that's how that usually goes. That's their religion.
Yep. Now, going to you here, and it's still staying on the politics topic here. ABC, is this true? Did this happen? What's going on? You were on ABC News. What's going on?
I was on ABC News.
Or you're going to be on ABC News?
No, I would go on ABC News.
Oh, I thought I saw that you were going to be or want to be. I don't know. I could have sworn. No ABC News. No.
I might have posted something about somebody being on whatever their Sunday morning show is or something. I don't know.
Oh, so you weren't on any. So I'm way wrong on that. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I had a little question mark to myself. Jack on ABC News question mark. Okay, so you're not going, Eric. So,
no.
So we could scrap that. I was not correct. Not going on.
Yeah,
ABC
the last time I did something that big was when I was on Bill Maher a couple years ago. But yeah, not on ABC News.
Bill Maher, that's a good one.
Yeah, it was before the 2016 election. I only did it one time. My favorite part of that entire trip is you're backstage of where they do the show. I got to see the Price is Right wheel.
Whoa.
It's like the set of the set of the guiding light or whatever CBS is,
Yep.
Or I guess it would be NBC, but like, no, CBS, I don't know. Whatever. I saw the Price is Right wheel. That was my highlight of that trip to Beverly Hills.
Cool. Yeah. So he does the same or uses the same studio. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was on there with Michael Moore. Who was a jerk backstage. When I meet people I disagree with political, I try to think of something nice to say. And I liked his movie Fahrenheit 9/11, which was critical of Bush, Cheney, and the Iraq War. A bunch of stupid stuff in it, but I generally liked it. And I tried to pay him a compliment. He was a total jerk. Jeremy Scahill was also on that panel, who won an Oscar for the documentary Dirty Wars. It was about like secret wars that the CIA carries out and stuff. And he's a progressive. But he's somebody I admire. And we kind of called Hillary Clinton a neocon on Bill Maher's show. And afterwards, we had a beer together. He's like, man, we called Hillary a neocon on, Real Time on HBO. We were like, yeah, he's a left-wing guy. I'm a right-wing guy, but somebody I admire. And that was fun. So, yeah, I don't know how I got on this subject, but yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about you being on Bill Maher. Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
How was Bill Maher didn't get to talk to because when Michael Moore shows up, they go smoke weed together. Like, it's seclude themselves. I wasn't mad at it, but I don't know. I never got to talk to Bill Maher outside of being on air. So,
how was he on air? Was he cool?
He was great. No, I think he's one of we talk about the woke phenomenon and being on the other side of it, and things are getting better. You have conservative pundits like Tucker Carlson and the late Charlie Kirk, but is equally and even bigger, I count people like Joe Rogan, Chappelle, Bill Maher, who's historically on the left. He's willing to tell his side, here's where you're against free speech, here's where you're not being liberal, and stop it. He's an important part of that. I don't always agree with him. He's, big time atheist. I'm certainly not that. But so what? He's willing to tell the left when they're going against free speech, don't do that. And people can have opinions. You can think that transgender is confusing and express that. It doesn't mean you hate people, stuff like that. And I've always admired that. And I would imagine that's part of why he had me on his show, right before the 2016 election. It's been a minute.
He's definitely more common sense than a lot of the other people that are out there. That is for sure.
His ingrained actual liberalism does not him allow to become this illiberal thing that so many Democrats are now.
Yep.
He is a Bush Cheney era. I like Barack Obama for these reasons. Liberal, free speech is good, Democrat, and can't become the neocon identity politics Democrat that they are now with a conscience. That's his value. What makes him
and can't stand women or men and women's sports either. He's like stuff like that, like common sense issues. He's just like he's not gonna, like, you can't be illogical with him. He's gonna hit you straight with it.
Yeah. The admission, but was it Malcolm Gladwell, the UK politician recently? I guess in the midst a couple years ago that he had to say, "Oh yeah, guys pretending to be girls should be in girls' sports." Like he was forced to say that by his side. He came out now and said, "I never believed that. I don't believe that then or now. I'm sorry I ever said that." That's kind of where we are. What you just said. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you ask like the women in the sports, they don't want it. Like, okay, then I'm listening to them. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like common sense here, you people. Jesus.
Yeah. My 17-year-old daughter's trained for 2 years to do well in soccer, and now she's getting mauled by a dude on the field. I can't be mad about that. That makes me hateful. F you. Get out of my face.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, crazy. Now, another thing that I thought was interesting, but maybe more common sense than kind of sticking on the common sense stuff, the Department of War, not Department of Defense, because it's not defense, it's Department of War. Is that a new change, or has that always been there, or is that literally just since Trump?
It was the Department of War as George Washington was president. That's when the Department of War started.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And it was changed in 1947. When I say it was changed, it was no longer that. It was different departments under like the Office of the Navy and some different things. But in 1949 or 48, close, they called it the Department of Defense. I was in favor of them changing the name to the Department of War. What we did in Iraq was not defense of America's national security.
Yeah.
What we are doing in Syria is not a defense of America's national security. The billions we're sending to Ukraine doesn't have squat to do with America's national security. But when you call it defense, you get to tell that lie. It's the Department of War. And some people took that the wrong way. I thought it was great. That doesn't mean that Trump's going to have the best policies always, but just to be honest about what we're doing and for them to herald it, yes, I love it. Most of the smarter anti-war people I saw on right and left, people like Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, were like, hell yeah, this is long overdue.
I love it when people change like words to make it sound like better, like more fluff.
Right.
Like, oh, we're Department of Defense. Vietnam War, Afghan War. Like, come on. That's not.
Oh, yeah. Vietnam was not a war. That was a police action. We never declared war.
Yeah.
What that had to do with America's national defense in any way, shape, or form, I think most Vietnam veterans would be asking the same question.
Pretty crazy when you look at that. Pretty nuts. But yeah, I guess that's kind of what it should be, or should have always been. Is right? Sure. The Department of War, not Department of Defense.
Correct.
Now, the interesting part of the wrestling business is not only the fact that we've been talking about this AEW All Out versus WWE WrestlePalooza, but also you went to NXT and I went to AEW, right? So we got a little bit of distension in the ranks as far as maybe two different ways of the spectrum here on the wrestling war. What did you think about NXT in South Carolina?
I thought it was fantastic. They do, I guess once a month or something, NXT will do house shows. They usually just kind of stay in Florida, but they came to Charleston, South Carolina, hit the Carolinas. They did a show in Augusta. It was so much fun to see a WWE level product in that intimate environment was nice. It's smaller. My two biggest takeaways, besides just enjoying the environment, is Trick Williams is an absolute star. Obafemi is the man. That is my takeaway from that NXT show. Trick Williams is going to be world champion on the main roster at some point. He is, I don't know who I'd compare him to from my childhood, like Lex Luger or something. And what I mean by that is I'm not comparing their wrestling styles or something, but just the aura. Lex Luger wasn't the biggest mat technician, though I think he's a better wrestler than a lot of people give him credit for. But he was just a star you knew about, and he looked like $1 million. That's what Trick Williams is to me. And Obafemi, yeah, that dude will kick your ass, and he did. So how was Collision? I tried to find you in the audience on TV because 1,000 people there, the 2,300 arena.
So I always like to stand up. So I got a couple beers, and I like to stand up. And I was standing up next to this guy. I'm like, hey, you mind if I just stand here? He's like, no, go for it. So we're just, BSing back and forth. I actually was really entertained, and the crowd was nuts. I'd say from start to finish, they were just loud as hell, and not like obnoxious and like on purpose where, they try to get themselves over. No, they were like into everything that was going on. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And to be honest, I think the crowd made it better. I know people were ripping the Philly crowd for whatever reason. I think they made the show better, a lot better.
Oh, every show I've seen at their residency at the old ECW 2,300 arena, the crowd is half the show.
They're
absolutely.
Awesome, yeah.
I don't know who's complaining about that. I think they've been great. You were at the Collision. That was Mark Briscoe and MJF, right?
Yeah, and obviously the match with Takeshita, but MJF, I was talking to the guy next to me. I go, man, MJF got married, and then all of a sudden he came out, and I was like, wait a second, did he literally just get married? Right. And then he cut that promo, which I saw on Dynamite, which was pretty funny. He goes, I love my wedding. They go beat up Mark Briscoe.
His wife's like, where are you going? He's like, tough, lady. I'm leaving the house or whatever. And he does. He hardly ever shows up on Collision, which was the big surprise. He's almost a Dynamite guy completely. So that was cool. You got to see some good stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed NXT, and boy, did you get to see a good Collision.
Briscoe Takeshita was awesome. That's the match I really was looking forward to anyway, because I'm an old Briscoe fan and I like Takeshita a lot. So that's what I was looking forward to the most. That was really good. I mean, I just loved the crowd. Was so into it. Every punch, they were into, and we really invested when Briscoe lost too. I mean, obviously MJF cheated, but they were pretty upset that Briscoe lost. So I like that they're obviously continuing that feud and they're building towards All Out with whatever stipulation that match is going to be. But that was a fun show. I liked it a lot.
I watched it on TV. I think Briscoe needs to beat him eventually, and I think they're going in that direction. I hope so. He needs to get a win. He's a star. He's not a guy you just walk over.
Yeah, I feel like he's got to start getting some wins here. He's so over.
Yeah, people want him to succeed. That's what you want. That's organic. I think there was a lost opportunity with the tragic loss of his brother. You could have done something right then. But that time's passed, but that time's not gone. It's not just about that. He's a talent. He's been around forever. He's like furniture in pro wrestling, especially for us diehards. But people love him. Eddie Kingston's kind of like that. Dusty Rhodes was like that. He's like a working class hero kind of guy. And that's what you want as a champion or just a winner, somebody on top.
And I got to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised with Moxley. I usually do not like his selling. I feel like he doesn't sell enough. He really tried to get Garcia over in that match. That's why I was really like, wow, he's really selling his ass off for Daniel Garcia.
He did. And we can say this. It's not a spoiler by the time people see this. It's not a spoiler when we're recording this, that Daniel Garcia is now with the Death Riders. We saw that on Dynamite. And I thought the moment was cool, but I'm waiting to see where they go with it. I like Daniel Garcia, I think probably more than you do. But I think it freshens up the Death Riders, and it certainly freshens up Daniel Garcia. Let's see what they do with it.
So I kind of was pleasantly surprised with Moxley because I was like, oh, let's see. He's probably not going to sell for this guy. And he was really getting him over. So I was like, wow, look at Mox. And the crowd was super into him. The crowd was going nuts for Garcia too. So it kind of makes that turn a little bit more, well done, because they were Danny, and then he turns and they hate him.
It's like the opposite of the NWO. Like, too many people eventually joined the NWO where it meant less.
Yeah.
Yep. The Death Riders have been the same 4 or 5 people for a while now. Oh, here's Daniel Garcia. Oh, they're flirting with Chris Statlander. It's the opposite. Like, I'm interested in that. Ooh, there might be additions to this. Yeah, as a fan, I like to see that. It's neat.
Still don't know about Wheeler Utah's haircut though. I'm not sold on that haircut. I'm not sure what's going on.
Hey,
Beatles maybe.
Somebody's got to get pinned in that group. It's going to be him, and his hair, the whole thing. People love to hate on him, and I think it's working for him. Good for him.
So smart, but so like right on point. Cody had an interview with Bruce Pritchard, and he was talking about why certain guys are in war games. And you're like, why is that guy on the team? Should be on the team. And I guess Cody and his dad were talking. Dusty goes, baby, you need somebody to lose, baby, or whatever. And I was like, that is so true. You need a guy on your team that can take the loss because you don't want the other guys losing. So I was like, that's literally Death Rider. So, I mean, that's like Yuta. He's going to be losing pretty much everything all the time.
It's a practical function. So you're in a top team with top guys, and you're the guy that loses. Well, that's not a bad place to be in wrestling. You know, not everybody's going to be Hulk Hogan, but if you can be that, that's pretty cool.
I feel like in a way, it's like, okay, to have a job or sometimes the team kind of weighs down, but then also like you got to keep the other guys strong. Like you don't want Claudio losing, you don't want Moxley losing. So yeah.
I mean, George South would have loved to have been in the NWO, even if he got pinned all the time, which he already did anyways, right? But like,
right. Yep, definitely. So the interesting thing, obviously, we're talking AEW here, but WWE's counter programming WrestlePalooza, they changed at the time of the show. AJ Lee, that's like kind of the big return. It did lead to, I was looking at the ratings, a big spike in the ratings, obviously with Lesnar too, but led to a big spike in the ratings. So people are interested in AJ Lee right now. Did you happen to check and see her story about 2014? Very kind of sad and mental health struggles and stuff. Very sad stuff to kind of listen to.
She alluded to it in her return promo on Raw. Her gimmick is being crazy. That's the name of her book. Crazy is my power or whatever it is. Superpower. Mm-hmm. I didn't agree that was real. So that was new to me. I knew it was something, but not my area of expertise. I was a fan of hers, a wrestling fan and what she did in the ring and everything else. As far as their tit for tat with AEW, I think the biggest card they pulled was having AJ Lee come back. Your AEW diehards are interested in that. Do I want to see Brock Lesnar and John Cena? I do, but not as much as anything on All Out. And I like John Cena and I like Brock Lesnar. I don't think what WWE is doing, and I don't blame them for doing it. I'm not mad at it. I'm actually happy. I like free market competition as a libertarian and a capitalist. I don't think it's going to hurt AEW's bottom line. I think they get above 100,000 buys for All Out. And, maybe if they got 180 on another one, it's 120 on this one, but maybe even not. I think people who want to see All Out and are looking forward to it are going to watch it. I don't know. I'm going to watch WWE afterwards, which is when it happens, because All Out's going to happen at 3:00. Well, actually, I'm going to watch the next day because I'm going to be seeing Judas Priest and Charlotte on September 20th. But anyways, watch, but maybe that's just me. AEW is the priority for me, and that's not a commendation of WWE that I think is great. So
the thing with me, when you like kind of looking at it and you're thinking about that, it's like, okay, they are counter programming. There's no doubt about it. AJ Lee not purposely, but it's like the timing of it. That's exactly
totally,
booking wise makes sense, but obviously makes sense because they're going up against AEW and want to kind of, maybe you could say bully him, or maybe free market enterprise, they could do what they want. But I'm thinking AJ Lee, obviously Lesnar, his return to the ring, and the return of the Usos. It's like they're giving that show a big feel of like returns and this guy's returning it. So they really are trying to load up that show, whether it's because it's ESPN or also because of AEW's on the same day.
Yeah, they're trying to, pull out some big matches, and like you said, Cena, Lesnar, obviously AJ Lee return, the mixed tag match that they're going to do and all that. The one disappointment I have on the AEW side, Monet's a top star. She's a TBS champion. I'm not into Rio. That's the match they're doing. It's not believable. Nothing against her. I wish her well as a fan. When they made her the first AEW's women's champion, I didn't like that. That's a 0 hour match, in my opinion, of which Monet should never be on. But other than that, I like most of the rest of the card. Sorry,
it's interesting to me. I would love to ask Tony, like, what's up with Rio? Like she always gets booked like she's like some major star. She's like, I don't know, and it's funny, like a woman, oh, she's too small. Like that can never be the case. She's actually too small to be like intimidating and beating Monet, who's not even big at all. You know what I mean? She's too small.
Right. But Darby Allin's small, but everything he does is believable. There's
Right.
credibility. Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio's small, but you believe it.
He's
You
awesome.
don't believe it with Riho. We watched Dynamite last night. It was Monet and Emi Sakura with who was Riho with?
Alex
Windsor. Alex Windsor, who I love. Who I think it should be Monet and Alex Windsor continuing that feud. That's what should be happening. But Rio pinned Sakura and like it was the most jumbled up, sloppy, not believable, fake looking thing I've seen in some time. And as a fan, I don't like to use the F word in that way, but that's what it was. It was bad. And Monet didn't need to be anywhere near that. And Alex Windsor didn't either, but that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. Just interesting with Monet because it's like, okay, what could we do with her? You know, she lost to Timeless Tony Storm. Maybe she'll continue that feud, do this. And then all of a sudden it's Rio. It's like, okay, like what?
It's like Baker's around. Where's Thunder Rosa? Like, there's people you could pick. Alex Windsor's still there. I would love to see Monet and Alex Windsor go on for the next 6 months. Like, that's two people I can believe in and like. But Rio seems like a placeholder for this woman that comes back once a year, and some fans like her. I don't get it.
I'm always been confused by like the Rio push, and I just didn't get it. I was like, is she like dating somebody? And AEW, like, what is going on here? Like, what? Yeah, like, because it's definitely not merit of like her own like in ring. Because I don't think she's impressive at all, especially compared to some of the other girls. Like Mina Shirakawa, I like a lot more than her.
Right, I don't want to see her in a match. I would, take her to the park and have wine and cheese. Sure, she's a pretty lady or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. Like, I'm not interested in seeing her wrestle. Monet's not a big person, but you believe her. She has credibility in the ring. She's a great wrestler. So it's not just about the size, but yeah.
And hey, a guy that was standing next to the crowd, we were talking during the women's 8-man match, and he was like, Tekla is great and all this other stuff. And she seems to be getting a push. Like that wouldn't be a bad matchup for Monet or, you know what I mean? Or somebody else, but they went.
Agree. Yeah, no, I'm interested in Tekla. They haven't really done a lot with her, but I'm interested. She's part of that Stardom, ex-Stardom, Julia and Stephanie Bakir in WWE. They're fresh, new women. They all came from Stardom. That's interesting. Yeah, I want to see. So
yeah, yep. And here's another little thing about WWE, which I was surprised by. So everyone was saying Boston is getting John Cena's last show. Now it's going to be Saturday's main event. It's going to be December 13th, and this is what it's going to be. They were supposedly they were going to change it to a pay-per-view, but Boston was still getting it. So Boston now loses John Cena's last match. What do you think about this? Because DC gets it, and I was reading it because TKO did a bidding, and DC outbid Boston for the match. So do you like that? I know it's free market enterprise, this and that, but are we getting too greedy here? Is Cena's hometown doesn't get his last match because DC decides to outbid them? Crazy.
It's in Washington, D.C., not New York?
Right. Yep. And his
New York.
That's for November 17th Raw. That'll be his last Raw. Will be in Madison Square Garden.
Oh. I mean, you seeing all these stories, TKO's all about the money and the bottom line. I'm not mad at it. Like, you make more money when you serve the fans. In my mind, I thought the last show was in New York, and I was like, all right, John Cena's home is Boston. He does that, but WWE's home is New York.
Yes.
So that's all symbolically appropriate, right. I didn't know DC was the last place of his match. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm not in charge. I'm going to watch it, but I'm not mad at it. Like, I would think some fans take this more seriously than John Cena might. Like,
right, maybe, yeah. I thought maybe it was his suggestion, like, "Hey, Boston, let's do it there. It's my home, hometown, and everything else." And I thought it was his suggestion, but I guess not. I mean, they changed it. November 10th, Raw. He'll be in Boston, obviously, for his last Raw in Boston. But his last Raw looks like November 17th, Madison Square Garden.
Well, that tells me, as somebody who split my time between Washington, D.C. and Charleston, South Carolina, that I need to be in D.C. on that date.
Oh, are you a big John Cena fan? Are you a big John Cena fan?
I am a big John Cena fan. In fact, when people were saying Cena sucks and all that 10 years ago and all, I was like, y'all are stupid. He's the only guy that's kept this place afloat during these awful, terrible years where they've had no competition. I've always been a big Cena fan. The match that stands out in my mind, I think I've said this to you before, What's the big goofy looking guy that can't do anything? The Indian Satnam. That's
Great
not
Khali. Great
Great
Khali.
Khali. I'm thinking of Satnam Singh on the other company. Great Khali and John Cena had a feud. That does not sound like anything you want to see, right? John Cena made that match awesome. If you go back and watch, I was like, man, this is good. Like, what the
Surprising,
hell? This should not be good. This should suck. This should stink. He made it good because that's how good he is. Even when goofballs were like, oh, John Cena sucks. Blah. Nah, this major league WWE thing you're watching with no competition and Vince is bored as hell. He's who carried us through a lot of those years, giving us something to sink our teeth into.
I'm not a big Cena fan, so I never liked Cena, just never. But I got to give him credit though, and my buddy was surprised because I'm usually not like super positive with Cena. I'm like, the heel turn, I'm not into it. Like, whatever. But SummerSlam, I said I got to give him his kudos. He's 30 or 47. He's retiring. Doesn't need to do that, and he goes 37 minutes in an all-time classic with Cody. I was like, wow, he really didn't need to do that, and you could tell he was dead dog tired. So I was like, man, that's kind of like love of the business, love of the game. Like I had to give him kudos for that because I was like, man, he did not need to pull that rabbit out of his hat. That was great.
I think he's proven a point. People say like 5 moves, can't wrestle, just whatever. Yep. He's like, all right, check this out. 35 minutes, Styles Clash, doing, RKOs or whatever. He's like, the hell with y'all. And I love it.
I do like him doing other guys' moves because he said, he goes, it's my love letter to those guys that I might not be able to wrestle. So I like that.
He did Edge's spear and the way Edge would do it, and he's in the other company.
Did you see Michael Cole said Roman Reigns, even though he did the Edge thing before?
Yeah, he was doing all the hair pulling that Edge.
Yeah, the Edge, like this. That was so funny. Like I was like, what is he doing? And then Corey Graves goes, or a Canadian that used to use that move a lot. Like he kind of made up for it. Yeah,
and they could be more free with that, which I love.
Yes,
thank you, Triple H, for that. Another aspect of my Cena fandom, I like in a post Austin, post Rock, post NW anti-hero wrestling world. Where everybody's a tweener and the anti-hero and whatever, a white meat babyface being a thing. We have that with Cody right now. Before that, you had that with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
But you can't John Cena did that for a little bit and then they turned on him.
Yeah.
If you see what I'm saying. But he did it. He was a white meat baby kids, all that kind of stuff. I admire anybody that can pull that off in this age of ours now. Cody's doing it right now. That's a big part of why I'm a fan of his. It's his dad, it's his own talents, and it's that. But John Cena did that for a time, in a time when you really shouldn't have been able to do it at all.
Pretty kind of crazy world that obviously we're living in now, and hopefully we'll get some more news on who the hell the shooter was and all the info as far as Charlie Kirk and coming from Utah. But let's wrap this bad boy up. Head towards the plugs. You follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. How about you, Jack?
You can find me at JackHunter74 on X, formerly Twitter, where anything politics or wrestling or heavy metal or anything else I like to talk about, it'll be there.
Nice. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. We'll see you right back here next week on Capital and Kayfabe. R.I.P. Charlie.